This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Whether you love true crime or comedy, celebrity interviews or news, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue. And guess what? Now you can call them on your auto insurance too with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. It works just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. Get your quote today at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Call from mom. Answer it. Call silenced.
Instacart knows nothing gets between you and the game. That's why they make ordering from your couch easy. Stock up today and get all your groceries for the week delivered in as fast as 30 minutes without missing a minute of the game.
You have 47 new voicemails.
Download the app to get free delivery on your first 3 orders while supplies last. Minimum $10 per order. Additional terms apply.
You could spend the weekend doing the same old whatever, or you could conquer the weekend in the all-new Hyundai Santa Fe. Visit HyundaiUSA.com for more details. Hyundai, there's joy in every journey.
It's time. It's time. Time to get in the zone. Time to get in the zone with the 49ers web zone. This is the No Huddle Podcast with Al and Brian.
The 2024 NFL schedule is out. The road for the 49ers, well, even though they're actually currently favored to win every single game so far, they're actually a little bit more treacherous than I anticipated when I just looked at who their opponents were going to be. I'm Al Sacco. I'm one half of the No Huddle Podcast. He's Brian Renick. He's the other half of the No Huddle Podcast. And Bri, we knew who they were going to play.
We did.
But the Chiefs, the Cowboys, the Seahawks, the Bills, all coming out of their respective byes to play the Niners. At Green Bay, at Buffalo, and back-to-back cold weather games right around Thanksgiving. The road to a second straight number 1 seed in the NFC is going to be more difficult than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah,
what was your initial take?
Well, one of the things that I thought was interesting. Now, I have seen people say that the rest disadvantage is an overblown storyline, that we need to stop talking about it. But my initial thought was, this is the second year in a row that the 49ers have gotten absolutely hosed in rest advantage. In fact, over the past, I believe, 15 seasons, the 49ers have 2 of the top 3 worst rest advantages in a season, with the rest advantage in 2023 being minus 20 and the rest advantage in 2024 being minus 22. So right off the bat, I feel like, again, not that I think that the league is out to get the 49ers. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying they have been unlucky in that area 2 years in a row now.
Yeah,
obviously,
I didn't think I'd be reading about -4 rest advantage and -20. I didn't even think that was going to be on the table at all. And that's what everybody's talking about right now, is the rest advantage for the Niners. It's insane.
I think it's a big deal, specifically because of the teams that they're playing that are coming off their bye. Not necessarily
good teams, all of them.
They're all good teams, and that's where it's like, well, that's a bummer. But at the same time, they'll have 10 days of rest going into Miami, which is a disadvantage for Miami, and they will also have 10 days of rest going into. So here's the one thing that I think is a little bit of a toss up is, while the Chiefs will be coming off their bye, and as everybody knows, Andy Reid does not lose coming out of his bye. So there's right off the bat, you're like, well, that's a bummer. But they will still have 10 days of rest going into that game, because they'll be coming off their Thursday night game against the Seahawks. And so that rest disparity is not as bad as it is when they play other teams coming off their bye. So in that regard, the other thing that I thought was they have got to build up a bit of a cushion in the first half of their schedule because it is a lot easier than the second half.
Yeah, those first 6 games, and we'll look at each one, but the first 6 games to me, I think at worst you're 4-2. I mean, at the absolute worst. Yeah. And at best, you might be undefeated. there's a chance for them to run the table there too before things start to get a little bit dicey there at the end. But listen, teams that go far usually play their best football in the second half of the season, and the Niners can certainly beat anyone on the best day. This
And
isn't a fringe playoff team. This is
they're better
one of
in the
best teams
second
league
half.
still.
They've been better in the second half under Shanahan since he's been here. They've been a second half team, which, again, is where you want to be. I appreciate facing. Well, and the other thing that I think is awesome is that you face the Chiefs and the Cowboys in back-to-back weeks. Just marquee matchups in back-to-back weeks. And the other thing is, you start off the season. QA is coming with the New York Jets on Monday Night Football. I think that's a great test. It's a great test for this offense against a Robert Saleh defense that is always good. It's a great test for this offense, this passing offense. We think they're going to be I think you're on the same page that they will be passing more in 2024 than they did in 2023. Again, I think they are working towards turning this team over to Brock Purdy, although obviously Christian McCaffrey is going to have a big role on this team. But the Jets are a great pass defense, and you've got Sauce Gardner, you've got DJ Reed. There's lots of revenge storylines coming into that game, right? Q against the 49ers, and Solomon Thomas and Javon Kinlaw and DJ Reed and Robert Saleh, and just a lot of
it's an awesome opener.
It is. It's a great opener.
Yeah. It's not a matchup you usually see in the AFC. They're only playing every 4 years. It's Aaron Rodgers. It's Robert Saleh, who used to be the defensive coordinator for the Niners. It's Monday night. Awesome opening week. I wasn't expecting the Jets to be the opener, and when I heard that it was going to be, pretty excited about that game. And Aaron Rodgers, listen, dude, it's going to be a year of him not playing football. What did he take, 4 snaps last year? So odds are, it's Aaron Rodgers, but he's still 40 years old. He still didn't play last year. Still is feeling his way around his teammates. He didn't really play with them last year much. So there's going to be a learning curve, I still think, for the Jets this year, and for him to get back if he's ever Aaron Rodgers again. But I like the matchup for the Niners. I think they could win the game, but week 1, you throw it out the window. Anything can happen, and the Jets have a really good defense. It's a terrific test, like you said, for the offense. We'll see what Purdy and these guys can do coming out of the gate. They looked great last year on the road against Pittsburgh, which we thought would be a tough game in week 1. It wasn't. Yeah. The Niners blew the doors off them. And,
they did. And
they're home this year against the Jets. Just a really fun opening week game to me.
Yeah, and then they go week 2 at the Minnesota Vikings, a revenge game for the 49ers. They had one of their worst losses, worst meaning a game that they absolutely should have won and did not against the Vikings. But the question is it going to be Sam Darnold? Is it going to be J.J. McCarthy? I have a feeling it's going to be Darnold. So it's a Sam Darnold revenge game, if you will. But what will be interesting is to see how this offense deals with Brian Flores' defense after having, a lot of trouble against Brian Flores' defense last year. The biggest difference is, as everything stands now, right? We can't predict injuries, and we don't want to predict injuries, but they will have Trent Williams in this game. And, I think the fact that you are facing the Vikings at the beginning of the year when we don't really know what they're going to look like, I think that's still an advantage for the 49ers.
Yeah, I don't think the Vikings know what they're going to be this year. And I saw the stat about how the Niners haven't won in Minnesota in 30 years or 30 plus years, whatever it is. I don't give a shit about that. It's a new season. Every year is new. Last year in that game, Kirk Cousins played out of his mind.
He did.
And it was still a close game. I mean, Cousins was phenomenal. Cousins probably would have beat anybody on that night, or at least defensively, they would have had a tough time stopping him. Any defense. He was terrific. It happens. You're going to face a hot quarterback sometimes. I'm not worried about oh God, they're at Minnesota. Throw that shit right out the window to me. I'm not worried about this game right now looking at it. Again, Minnesota, sure, Jefferson's terrific. Addison is terrific. I like the Aaron Jones pickup for them. But quarterback, I don't fear Sam Darnold. And McCarthy, if you're talking a rookie quarterback in a second game, advantage Niners here in this game. But again, it's a fun week 2 game. And it's a 1:00 game. You got to take that into consideration too. So, or 10 a.m. 10 a.m.
10 a.m. body clock game.
For you West Coast people.
10 a.m. body clock game. Then they go to the Aaron Donald-less Rams. How are
Rams
you? How
scare
are
me.
you? How are you feeling about the Rams?
I'm scared of them.
Yeah?
I'm a little afraid of them. The Rams, to me, I know there's no Aaron Donald, but you look at the team last year. I had no expectations for them last year. I thought they'd be better than what people had anticipated. They were saying, 6 wins, 7 wins. I don't know. They can push 8 or 9 wins. I thought they're 10-7. They're a good football team last year. The health of Stafford is obviously key, and Aaron Donald. Look, that's going to hurt a ton. Aaron Donald is one of the best players of all time, but they have a defense that's young and finding itself. But what worries me about the Rams is the type of football that they want to play now on offense, where you have Kyron Williams, you have Blake Corum. They're going to want to pound the football. And I think that's the 49ers' weakness. And then you can throw it to Nakua. If Cooper Kupp is healthy this year, they have 2 really good receivers. And Stafford, obviously, I'm a big fan of when he's healthy. So the Rams really scare me. The Niners are going to split. I feel like the Niners are going to split with them. If I know we're not really doing predictions, win-loss right now, but this is a game that if they're going to lose one in the first 6, this is one of the ones that I've circled.
I agree. The thing that I also thought that the Rams would be better than they were last year. And I feel like what you learn is that anytime that you've got a good quarterback like Matthew Stafford and an excellent head coach like Sean McVay, you're always going to be a threat to make the playoffs in the NFL. I think that's one of the lessons. And I'm not saying that they aren't, but the thing that held that team back last year was the defense, even with Aaron Donald. And now they've not only lost Aaron Donald, but their defensive coordinator. And they brought in a new defensive coordinator, Chris Shula, who's never been a defensive coordinator before. And, you're talking week 3. I don't know that defense is going to be good enough, at least at the beginning of the year, to be able to stop the 49ers offense, which is, again, coming back at full throttle from what it was last year. And so while the Rams and their offense are going to be a big test for this 49ers defense, with also a new defensive coordinator and a big question mark on run defense, I just think if it's a shootout, if it's an offense versus offense, I still think the 49ers defense has more talent and enough talent to get a stop when needed, whereas I don't know that the Rams do. I think they're still going to be finding themselves. So to me, if they split, which I think they probably will, just like they did last year, although they split because they played a meaningless Week 18 game.
Right.
If they split, I think they win the first game and then lose the second game once that defense kind of finds itself a little bit.
Selling a little or a lot? Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. From the launch your online shop stage, to the first real-life store stage, all the way to the did we just hit 1 million orders stage. Shopify's here to help you grow. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor outfits, Shopify helps you sell everywhere. From their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system, wherever and whatever you're selling, Shopify's got you covered. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout. 15% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms. And sell more with less effort thanks to Shopify Magic, your AI-powered all-star. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the US. And Shopify is the global force behind Allbirds, Rothy's, and Brooklinen, and millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across 175 countries. Plus, Shopify's award-winning 24/7 help is there to support your success every step of the way. Because businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Odyssey Podcast, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Odyssey Podcast now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/Odyssey Podcast.
Want to be more active this summer? Sierra helps you save on everything from swimsuits to stand-up paddleboards, tennis rackets to fishing tackle. And if that doesn't float your boat, we also have pool floats. Sierra, let's get moving to your local store, like now. Go!
The next couple games are exhale games to me. These are games that I'm not worried about. Both at home. In week 4, you have the Patriots, a completely different Patriots team.
Yeah.
Got to figure Drake May is the quarterback.
I think Jacoby Brissett's going to be the quarterback.
You think they're going to start Brissett right away?
Yeah,
I
I think so.
I feel like when you suck like that, you should just put the rookie in and let him take his lumps. But either way, I'm not worried about the Patriots at all.
Yeah.
New regime.
And that defense is not the Bill Belichick led defense, right? Gerard Mayo, has been there for a while. Like, I'm not going to underestimate him, but he's not Bill Belichick. So, and he's not technically the defensive play caller either. Not technically, he's not the defensive play caller. So yeah, and the offensive coordinator there is Alex Van Pelt. Like, there's just not a whole lot to be afraid of.
Not a lot of weapons there.
Yeah,
and there's some good players on defense.
Yeah,
Paramore, Christian Gonzalez, if he bounces back from his injury, but nothing to be. I mean, this should be a cakewalk.
Matthew Judon.
Yeah, there's good players, but Niners, there's no excuse for them. They'll be favored by double digits in this game.
100%.
And week 5 probably as well against the Cardinals. Cardinals will be better with Kyler Murray. Marvin Harrison's an exciting addition for them, but I do not fear that team at all.
I still think, even though Jonathan Gannon is a defensive minded head coach, I still think they lack a lot on defense, and that's going to be part of their downfall. I really like their offensive coordinator. I think he was kind of innovative last year, and they came and ran all over the 49ers late in the season. It was it was that game that was the beginning of, oh shit, this team can't stop the run.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
so true. So I expect kind of a similar game plan for them, but also now they do have some weapons for Kyler Murray in Marvin Harrison Jr. And so I still think that they will be favored heavily in that game, but I do think the Cardinals are better than they were last year. They're just still not good.
Yeah, they ran with James Conner last year, and that rookie that they drafted, his name is escaping me, but that was a good pickup for them, the rookie running back, and I think he's going to get a lot of carries for them as well. Trey McBride's a good tight end. They do have some weapons on offense. I can't think of the guy's name now, but a running back that I think is going to get a lot of touches.
Trey Benson.
There you go. Yeah, he could be if you play fantasy or dynasty or anything like that. He's a good guy to pick up. I think he's going to end up having a good season for them.
For sure.
Week 6, the second of 6 primetime games and the first of 2 Thursday night games. Do not like having 2 Thursday night games. I don't like having 1 Thursday night game. I'm glad football's on Thursdays, but
they had 2 last year, didn't they?
They did, yeah. The early one against the Giants and then Thanksgiving against
the
Seattle.
Seahawks.
We were at Seattle again. I love when football's on Thursday. I look forward to it. I always look forward to football, but looking at your team, I never want my team to play on Thursday night, but they're going to be at Seattle. And this is the Seahawks. It's going to be a different Seahawks team. This is not the Pete Carroll Seahawks.
Sure.
And Pete Carroll owned the 49ers with Russell Wilson for a really long time. The past few years, that has not been the case. Especially with Geno Smith.
5-0 if you include the playoffs.
Geno Smith doesn't scare me. I know they have some weapons, but we'll see with Mike McDaniel, or not Mike McDaniel. What's his name?
McDonald.
Their head coach, Mike McDonald. His defense destroyed the Niners in Baltimore. Obviously, you don't have the same type of players, but it did give them fits. So who knows in this game? If there's going to be a loss in these first 6 games, I think it's going to be either the Rams or the Seahawks. If whatever one you want to circle right now, I think the Niners will lose one of those games. Probably come out 5-1 there.
The one thing that I will say about Mike McDonald and that defense is, you think about what the Ravens defense was, not last season, but the season before, which was Mike McDonald's first season. And you think about like the game against the Dolphins, right? Especially early in the season, they played the Dolphins in 2022. And the Dolphins just lit up that defense. And it is a complicated defense to learn. It is very intricate. It takes a lot of communication, and it's going to be a learning curve for that team. And so I don't think that the Mike McDonald led defense for the Seahawks is going to be anywhere near similar to the Mike McDonald led Ravens defense that the 49ers faced last year on, was that Christmas? They ruined our Christmas, right?
It did ruin Christmas. Ruined my Christmas.
Yeah. But so again, another thing where I think playing them early in the season is an advantage, just like playing the Rams early in the season is an advantage. While the Rams are trying to find themselves on defense, those Seahawks will also be trying to find themselves on defense. We also have no idea what they're going to look like on offense under Ryan Grubb, their new offensive coordinator, who was the offensive coordinator at Washington. not Washington Commanders, but the University of Washington, who played the Wolverines and Jim Harbaugh and the Wolverines in the national championship game with Michael Penix as the quarterback. I don't know what to expect out of them. And so they're just an unknown. And I think they're an unknown for a lot of analysts, across the league and across the media landscape. So don't really know what to expect, but at least they're coming off, it's a Thursday game, but they're coming off a game against a division opponent, which means that there's not going to be, they're not going to have a ton of game planning for that Cardinals game, which means that they can focus a little bit more on the Seahawks since it's a short week. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see who shows up.
And then week 7 and 8, I mean, the NFL has to just be thrilled with these two matchups.
Salivating.
Monster. I mean,
Yes.
The 49ers draw ratings. The 49ers have a huge fan base across the country, and they just have two monster games in week 7 and 8. First is week 7 against the Kansas City Chiefs, who, like we said, are coming off that bye. And Andy Reid is something like 27-4 off a bye or something ridiculous like that.
It's wild. It's wild.
And I know the Niners have 10 days to prepare. There's a lot for me when I first look at this game. The first thing that comes to my mind is, when are you going to beat this team?
Yeah.
When are you going to beat the Chiefs? Because you haven't. You haven't beat Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. There's been some heartbreak. There's been a little bit of ass kicking mixed in there. So at some point, can you get over the Kansas City hump? We've seen the Bills do it in the regular season. They've been able to get some wins to maybe give them some confidence in the regular season. When postseason time comes around, it's usually Mahomes finds a way at the end.
Mm-hmm.
But we've seen the Bills go in there and have those really big regular season wins where, okay, we went to Kansas City and won. Now Kansas City is coming to San Francisco here, but the Niners still have to get that win where, we beat them. We got over that mental hump with them. They didn't find a way at the end. We didn't muff a punt or miss a kick or overthrow somebody or anything like that. We found a way to beat them. And this is a big mental game for me, for the Niners. And that may sound silly to some people because the Niners win so much, can beat so many people. The Chiefs have not been one of those teams. So this is a gigantic circle the week, show me something week for the 49ers.
Yeah, Andy Reid is 28-3 when coming off a bye, when the other team is not coming off a bye.
That's just ridiculous.
He's 3-4 when coming off a bye, when the other team is also coming off a bye. So it's not as, and like we said, it's a little bit of a mini bye for the 49ers. They're coming off 10 days rest, right? Because they play on Thursday. So what's interesting to me is that you back the Chiefs and the Cowboys up back to back, right? And what's interesting to me is the Kansas City Chiefs are to the 49ers what the 49ers are to the Cowboys. They have such ownage that it is far more imperative for the 49ers to beat the Chiefs than it is for the Chiefs to beat the 49ers. Just like it's far more imperative for the Cowboys in week 8 to beat the 49ers than it is for the 49ers to beat the Cowboys, because the 49ers have nothing to prove to the Cowboys. The Cowboys have everything to prove to themselves against the 49ers. Just like the Chiefs know that they can beat the 49ers. So they go in expecting it. The 49ers have to prove to themselves that they can beat the Chiefs. And so to me, that is arguably, when it comes to the Super Bowl aspirations of the San Francisco 49ers, it's crazy to say, but I don't think there is a more important game on the schedule than the week 7 matchup against the Chiefs. They have to prove to themselves that they can beat that team, even if it's just in the regular season. Because if they lose to the Chiefs in week 7 and then go on to make the Super Bowl and have to face the Chiefs again, what does that look like for them mentally? What does that, you go into that game going, God damn it, we cannot for the life of us beat this team. And so
what's going to happen? When's the break going to come for them? All that stuff enters your head.
Super important for them. And it's week 7. There's still 11 weeks left in the season, but I don't see a more important game on the schedule for them than this week 7 matchup against the Chiefs.
Yeah, because with the Niners, it's not about, hey, we made the playoffs. Hey, we won a couple playoff games. Right now, it's championship or bust. You're at the precipice of not winning a title with this core. It's probably this year or not. So again, while the odds are stacked against them, it's a huge year. And I totally agree with you. It's just a gigantic game. Maybe the biggest regular season game they've had in, God, I don't even know. certainly in recent memory. It's gigantic for them.
The Eagles game was big last year. The Eagles game was big last year as a bit of a,
it was a revenge. That was a we're pissed off.
Sure.
That was a we didn't get a chance. That was a we know if we play you, we can kick your ass and we're going to show you. This is, again, something that can turn into a mental, oh shit, now what happened?
Yeah.
Can we ever beat 15? That sort of thing. So I agree with you on that. And just like for week 8 with the Cowboys, listen, the Cowboys have shown me nothing. Mike McCarthy, Dak Prescott, nothing. Just that they show me that they can't beat good teams. And I thought the same thing last year that you just said. This game for the Cowboys, after the Niners beat them 2 times in a row in the playoffs, is going to be huge. And the Niners better bring their A game because the Cowboys are going to come out swinging, and it's going to be a real tight game. And I think I picked Dallas in that game. And the Niners kicked their ass.
42-10, baby.
Wasn't even a game. I mean, Purdy looked like Montana in that game. Absolute ass kicking. We'll see again this year. There's no way I'm ever picking Dallas ever, but they're coming off a bye. The Niners are coming off. Either way, a really emotional game against Kansas City.
Right. Either way,
it's hard to say that a Niners Cowboys game there could ever be a letdown, but that this could be a spot for a letdown because if they beat the Chiefs, you kind of got the exhale. If you lose another one to the Chiefs, you're kind of like, a little hungover. This is a letdown game if I've ever seen it. But fuck Dallas.
That's right.
They just don't beat good teams.
I hope George wears the shirt again.
What if Trey Lance is starting in week 8?
Oh my God.
They said they're going to give him more reps. Did you see that? They're like, we want to see him in OT. They said they want to see him in OTAs in preseason. Like he's going to get a lot of reps.
Listen, if you're Dallas and you know that you're going into the last season of Dak Prescott's contract and you're not sure that you want to make him the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, you better see what you got out of the guy that you traded a 4th round pick for. It makes absolute sense.
Because if you go into the season and he has another Prescott year where he's statistically really good and they win 11 games, then he gets in the playoffs and he shits the bed again and he loses big games against the Niners, you cannot pay him $60 million a year. No. I don't know if you decide to rebuild. And maybe Jerry Jones, he's getting so old, he won't want to do that. But at some point, you can't pay that quarterback that kind of money if you keep getting those results. And Prescott's a good quarterback. He is. He's a good player. But at some point, you get into the purgatory stage with some of these guys that you're just never going to get over the hump. And I feel like that's where they are with him right now.
And you also got to pay Micah Parsons soon, and you got to pay CeeDee Lamb, and there are some real financial concerns. Not that they can't afford to pay the team, but financial concerns and like who do we pay? And again, if you're paying 55, 60 million for Dak Prescott, then you're not also paying CeeDee Lamb. Or you're also not paying Micah Parsons. You're losing one of those guys because you already paid Trayvon Diggs. I don't see them finding the money. And like I said, if it's another, if they go another season without making it out of the divisional round,
how do you run it back?
Let somebody else, and I'm going to do this right now. It's May 16th, 2024. I'm going to say in the 2025 NFL season, Dak Prescott is playing either for Sean McVay and the LA Rams or Mike McDaniel and the Miami Dolphins. That's my prediction.
Wow. It's a big prediction, Brian.
It is. I also predicted that Kirk Cousins would play for Mike McDaniel. So take my prediction with a grain of salt.
But yeah, you know what? The Rams, that's a pretty good spot for him.
Right.
I don't know. Dallas had to, that's a pretty good spot for him. So he'll be a free agent after this year, right?
Right. Yep. Yeah. So Matthew Stafford retires and they bring Dak Prescott in. That's my thought on it.
The Niners get a bye in week 9 and you're certainly going to need it after Kansas City and Dallas. So it's a pretty good spot for a bye week 9. I would always like it as late as possible, but I'll take it, especially after those 2 games. They can rest and then they're going to
season.
Yeah, and out of the bye into 3 out of 4 road games. So the first is at Tampa Bay, which is a pesky team. We saw that last year. I thought they played pretty well against the Niners. They hung in there until the end. They were a playoff team. Another team, though, that I just can't be worried about. I can't be worried about Baker Mayfield.
Right.
And I think maybe they might even take a step back this year.
I say it's Baker Mayfield without Dave Canales, right? Dave Canales, the offensive coordinator, left to be the head coach of the Panthers.
He completely rejuvenated Mayfield's career.
Exactly.
And I can see Tampa Bay taking a step back this year and maybe a little buyer's remorse to bring Baker back, but they had to do it. I understand that. So this is a game even on the road. you feel like the Niners have a pretty good chance in here. And then it's the Seahawks in week 11 at home. Again, we just don't know what the Seahawks team will have a better idea by week 11 of what they are.
Sure.
Worst case scenario, you're going to split with the Seahawks. That's worst case scenario. The Niners will get one of these games. So whatever you think it's going to be.
That's a tough, and the thing about that game is it's tough, right? Because you're coming off an East Coast road trip. You're coming back home. You're playing a division opponent, which is difficult in and of itself. You're playing them for the second time, which makes it more difficult. And you're also looking ahead and going, wait, we have to also go to Green Bay next week. And then the following week, we have to go to Buffalo. That's a tough spot. It's a real tough spot. So to me, again, if they split with the Seahawks, I predict a win early in the season and then a week 11 loss. Because that's just, like I said, just a tough spot to be in.
And if you're a football fan, week 12 and 13, you're sitting on your couch.
Money.
Thanksgiving time, Sunday afternoon, Niners at Packers, Lambeau Field. That's just a must-see game. Packers are one of those teams that give the Niners all they can handle. Are they going to continue to move up? Because if they do, if Jordan Love continues to improve, you have all these young weapons. Green Bay could be really good this year.
Sure.
Really good this year.
I'm a little concerned about their offensive line, but other than that,
that NFC North could be a great division. This, with the Lions, and I think the Bears are going to be a lot better. That's going to be a fun division to watch.
I think it's the best division in the NFC, if I'm being perfectly honest.
You might be right. You probably are right, actually. Yeah, that could, depending on how Chicago is, and they finished the season great too. We'll talk about them, but that's a big game, and that's a game for the Niners too, man. If you're picking losses, I saw Mayoko's predictions earlier, and he had losses in week 12 and 13 for the Niners, and had them going 12-5. So even if you think they're going to be really good, this is a tough stretch. So this game is huge, but awesome. And then Sunday night, which is their fourth, it's their fourth primetime game so far, because Dallas is on a Sunday night as well at Buffalo. Now the Bills are not the Bills that most people are probably accustomed to.
Right.
A lot
and
of
that's
changes.
The thing for me.
Yeah, no, it's not going to be easy to play two cold weather games in a row and go to Buffalo on Sunday night. That is not an easy place to play. But no Stephon Diggs. I mean, Von Miller didn't do anything last year anyway, but he won't be there. No Jordan Poyer. There's all these vets, no Tre'Davious White, they're moving on from. It's going to be a new Bills team. Now, by week 13, have these young guys started to step up and play better, and have they found the rhythm? And Josh Allen can beat anybody on any given day when he's on. The guy's amazing. But he also gives you some. Josh Allen will also throw the ball to the other team. He plays a little recklessly sometimes. So I'm not as afraid of the Bills as I would have been 2 years ago going to Buffalo, where you said, this could be a loss. This could still be a Bills team finding itself. So while it's still going to be a great game to watch the Niners against Josh Allen on a Sunday night, may not be as tall of a task as maybe some people are initially thinking.
Yeah, I am reserving judgment on the Bills until I can see what that offense looks like without Stephon Diggs, what Joe Brady has in store, what that offensive line looks like, and really what that defense looks like as well. There's just a lot of question marks in Buffalo right now. It seems like this is the season where they're like, we got to take our medicine when it comes to, the cap.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like they did that this season. And so, you're losing Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis, and you're replacing them with Keon Coleman, a rookie out of Florida State, and
Curtis Samuel, Marcus Valdes-Scantling.
Right. And we saw what MVS did in Kansas City, which is to say not much. And so I know, he's going to fill that Gabe Davis role as the field stretcher, but I mean, that was his role in Kansas City, and he didn't necessarily do a whole lot with it. So I don't know. I'm not, it's hard to count out Josh Allen, right, as arguably the second best quarterback in the NFL behind Patrick Mahomes, but he just doesn't have a lot to work with. And so again, by week 13, we will know a lot more about that team. But as it stands right now, I'm not as afraid of that game as I was if that were week 13 of 2023, for sure.
Where I would be a little bit afraid of the Bills offense, we think Josh Allen, we think, Dalton Kincaid, the guys like that. James Cook really came out in the second half of last year.
True.
Who's the other run? They picked up another running back too. I don't know. I forget everyone's names all the time. They have a rookie running back too. They have, who was the vet? I thought they picked up a vet. Maybe they didn't. But Cook is phenomenal, and they brought in somebody else that can get some carries for them too, whose name is clearly escaping me right now. they can run the football. And you saw them do that last year where there were games Cook had like 200 yards and they really committed to it. So if that's something they do when the weather is bad, again, we're worried about that Niners rush defense. That could be a game that's a little bit scary to them. I have to look up the Bills.
You know who they got? You know who they got? Frank Gore Jr.
They did, but that is not who I'm thinking
of. They have Ray Davis, Frank Gore Jr., Ty Johnson, James Cook, Darrington Evans, and Reggie Gillum.
Was it whoever the rookie is that they took? Is it Ty Johnson? Maybe
I think it's Ty Johnson.
No, Ray Davis. Ray Davis was a rookie. I think.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Ty Johnson's been in the league for a while. If
run defense is a weakness for the 49ers in 2024, that will definitely be a tough matchup.
Be the Achilles heel. And then week 14, you go back home. But this could be a tough game too, because the Bears really came out at the end of last season.
Yes. And had a top 5 defense in the second half.
Montez Sweat transformed that team when he came over.
Yep.
He made a huge impact. They were terrific in the second half. And now this offense, what is it going to be? If Caleb Williams is what people hope that he is, I love Odunze. I think he's going to be a really good player. And then you have Keenan Allen. You have DJ Moore. You have Cole Kmet. You have a good running game. Could be a really difficult game. The Bears are a team that could win 10, 11 games. I really feel that way if Caleb Williams is what people think he could be, even as a rookie.
And Shane Waldron is the new offensive coordinator there. He's coming from that role for the last 2 seasons in Seattle. And while
very familiar with the Niners.
Yes, exactly. And then again, you just don't know what you're going to get. You assume that Caleb Williams is going to be incredible in his rookie season, but you never know. So, again, another team where it's like, you don't really know what you're going to get because you have no idea what Caleb Williams is going to be as a pro, but that dude sure has some weapons around him. And that defense, like I said, it was top 5 in the NFL in the second half. And, they brought back most, if not all of that defense. And yeah, I think they're going to be a team that if Caleb Williams is just okay as a rookie, right? I think they can sneak into the playoffs.
100% agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're a wild card team this year. It's a tough division, but I think the Bears are a wild card team this year.
Yeah.
Then the Rams at home in week 15. That's another Thursday night game.
Thursday night. Yep.
It's the 5th primetime game for them. Who the hell knows what happens on Thursday nights? And we both said we think they split with the Rams. So one of these games is going to be a loss.
I really want to, because I'm just looking at the 49ers schedule. I haven't looked at it. I really want to look at the Thursday night slate because that's twice now that they've scheduled division opponents for the 49ers on Thursday night. Like, did they make that like a concerted effort? Right. Like, because I'd
have to look.
If you think about it, it would make sense, right? If you're going to have Thursday night games, have them be division games, because division games are games, again, you obviously game plan for you. I'm not saying you don't, but you don't have to game plan as much because you're really familiar with each other. And so if I were the schedule makers and I know I'm putting the teams at a disadvantage by scheduling them on Thursday, I would try my hardest to make sure that those are always division games. And so for the 49ers, they are.
There looks like there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
Patriots, Jets, Bills, Dolphins, Cowboys, Giants, Falcons, Bucks, Niners, Seahawks. Yeah, quite a few. And there's some that aren't, but you got Saints and Broncos. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of division games here. Yeah, that's a good point. If you're going to make these guys play these games,
right?
Might as well do it that way. But
yeah,
look, I don't think the Cardinals are going to be very good. If Seattle and the Rams weren't very good, I believe that. If they were very good, I believe that too. Weren't. They can go either way. So who knows? We have to wait how the season plays out. But
then they go all the way across the country on 10 days rest to play Mike McDaniel and the Miami Dolphins. Again, don't know what that team's going to look like because they were decimated by injuries by the end of the season last year. I don't think that team is as good as it was last year. They lost a lot of players. They lost a lot of players on defense. They're bringing in a new defensive coordinator. So again, 1 year under Vic Fangio didn't go as expected. Vic Fangio leaves for the Eagles. They bring in Anthony Weaver, who was the defensive line coach for the Ravens. Never been a defensive play caller before. Didn't really address their offensive line and the needs they have there. Didn't really address the losses that they had in free agency of Christian Wilkins and others. But you still got Jalen Ramsey. You still got You've got some talented edge players. You've got guys coming back from injury that you hope for Miami hopes that, they come back to form. But again, a game that going to be tough in and of itself, just because it is a cross country, but that game is played later in the day. So it is still a 125 body clock game. So the 49ers only have 2 10 a.m. body clock games this season, which is nice. That's an advantage for them. With the amount that they have to travel, the fact that it's still only 2 10 a.m. body clock games, I think that's huge.
So, Brian, that Bills running back, Ray Davis, 5'8", 216 pounds, rookie out of Kentucky. He's somebody who I think is going to mix in with James Cook and kind of pound the ball in there. So that does worry me in that game. All right, week 17.
So this is my other. So I think the Chiefs is the most important game. I think this could be the second most important game of the regular season.
Huge game. Again, fun game. 6th primetime game for the Niners, Monday night, December 30th, playing at home against the Lions, who, again, are going to be out for blood, out for revenge. They probably feel like they should have been in the Super Bowl. A couple things go differently. They are in the Super Bowl. Going to be a really fun game and could be a preview of maybe the NFC Championship again.
Right. And I think that could be a battle for the 1 seed as well in the NFC. Could be. For sure.
Yeah, Detroit's just going to have, I think, because their division is so good, they're going to have some losses in there.
That's true.
Man, I don't know. When you look at the 1 seed, I mean, the Niners are good. Right now, the Niners, I think, are favored to win the most. I think they were like 11.5 or some shit around there, and which was the highest win total.
I think second is Green Bay, right?
That I don't know, but Green Bay has a chance.
It's got to be Green Bay or Detroit, and I mean, I guess
you
the
think
Cowboys
Philly,
or
somebody
Eagles.
thinks, Cowboys, Eagles, and you know what team not to sleep on because their division kind of sucks. And
the Falcons,
do not sleep on them.
Yeah,
do not sleep on them winning 12 games.
Yeah,
which maybe you could sneak the bye with that.
Sure. Yeah,
they're going to be a lot. I mean, I think last year, what were they, 7-10 last year, or whatever it was, and if they had even remotely good quarterback play, they would have won 11 and 12 games. So this year with Cousins and Bijan in his second season, and Morris makes the defense better or whatever.
Well, and he's bringing in another kind of Shanahan offensive disciple to run the offense there as well, which is only going to be a benefit to Kirk Cousins. And I mean, I think hands down, if you're betting money on any division winner, I would put a lot of money on the Falcons.
Yeah, I think they're going to have a good season. Then you get in the playoffs, Kirk Cousins is your quarterback. We'll see.
Right.
For the regular season, I think they're going to win games. And then the season ends. You're at the Cardinals. Hopefully that game doesn't mean anything. Playing the Cardinals last week's season, it's just always gross to me. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Like your backups are in. It's the Cardinals. The Cardinals are one of the least. They've always been. Even when they had like Kurt Warner and Larry Fitzgerald, that was always kind of it's like they're just one of those teams that, like them and the Panthers, you're just kind of it's gross. Cardinals games are gross.
And it's in Arizona, so
like whatever, man. But hopefully again, they're 12-4 and it won't matter.
Yeah,
they'll have the bye locked up. But we'll see. This, like I said, this is a little bit more difficult of a road than I had anticipated it being. I think there's going to be some aggression with the Niners unless Brock Purdy comes out and is either the same dude or takes a little bit of a jump forward. Then the offense may be so good it may not matter. But there are spots I'm worried about here, and there are some teams that I think can exploit those weaknesses for the Niners. That I'm not saying the Niners are going to go 7-10. I do not think that. I think they'll win 11 games just because of the talent. But when I say Super Bowl, are they going to win the Super Bowl? I think there's some teams in the NFC this year that can exploit their weaknesses, and that has me worried a little bit.
I think the biggest thing I'm looking for this season is, again, like you said, there are holes. One of the things that I think is interesting is they are carrying a good amount, not a good amount, but a fair amount of cap space into the season. I know their hope is to roll that over, but I also know that they love to be aggressive in season. And I'll be interested to see if they make a move like a Chase Young move or something like that to shore up a hole that they find, in the middle of the season. So it'll be interesting to see as well. Obviously, all these things that we talk about, predictions, all of that is going to hinge on health. And it's always going to hinge on health.
100%. All right. We're out of here.
Hey, We got a guest coming on next week.
We do. I wasn't going to tease it. You want to tease it? We could tease it.
Yeah, let's tease it. We have a guest coming on next week that used to play for the 49ers. And he used to be a pass catcher for the 49ers.
I'm pretty excited. I'm like Ricky Waters excited for this one. When we had Ricky Waters on, I was really excited, and I'm pretty excited for this one too. So right now we're tentatively scheduled for that Wednesday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. You're going to be familiar with this guy.
Yeah, for sure.
Kind of a big deal. We're really excited about it. So we'll leave that with a tease.
There you go.
Thanks,
Tune in next week. Have a good one.
Later.
9-0-3. 1, 2, 3.
.2400 Sports is an Odyssey company.